All right, welcome. Welcome, everyone. We are here as the Busty Bodice Club to talk to you about our collaboration. I'm Eliana Piers. We have with us Kathleen Ayers, Cathy Maxwell, Janna MacGregor, and Tracy Sumner. We're missing a couple of our authors, but we're all here to chat about the collaboration and just give you some information on it. Welcome, everyone. So the first thing I want to tell you is we have done something kind of unique, kind of fun, kind of crazy. I did have to convince everyone on this, actually. We decided to co-write a little prequel to our series, and we have a book called Curves for the Rival Duke, where each one of us authors wrote a chapter. And we are exclusively releasing this book via newsletter right now. So every week we're sending out a chapter of that story. By the end of 8 weeks, you will have this full. You'll have read this full book. So this starts off our series. On doing this part. How about my author friends here? What was your thoughts on doing this co-writing?
I think it's a fun idea.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to collaborate with such great authors, people I haven't worked with before. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cathy and I have twins.
I know, but the voice, the way the voices pop out on the different chapters is just, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And that is the first time, I don't know, Kathleen, if you have, but that's the first time I've ever taken part in one story with different authors. So that was new.
Yeah, it was, it's funny. It was a little bit of a challenge because everybody's voices are very distinct and very different. Mm-hmm. And merging our stories together, even though it's one story, that was challenging, but it was a lot of fun.
But I want to know, Janna, you brought up, you're the last chapter of the book. Were there any special challenges that you had? Because you kind of had to take everything that the rest of us wrote and tie it up in a bow.
I did. I mean, I probably spent more time on this epilogue, which was the last chapter of it, than I've done on any of my other books, because there were so many loose ends, and but that's okay. Remember that game of gossip? I mean, this is exactly what this book was, right?
Yeah.
And then the person at the end had to remember all of it. So yeah, that was me. And
yeah.
It was fun. I loved it, so it was great.
Awesome. So we've got 7 books that are coming out after this prequel here, and each chapter of the author. So I wrote the first chapter for Curves for the Rival Duke, and then I've got the first book in the series here, Curves for the Duke. And each one of us now is going to take all that. But if you haven't already signed up for one of our newsletters, you should do that so that you can access this free prequel. All right, so we're going to release these in the spring. So April 7th, my book comes out, Curves for the Grumpy Duke. April 14th, a week later, Cathy Maxwell's book, Curves for the Rakish Duke, comes out. April 21st, Tracy Sumner, Curves for the Silver Fox Duke. April 28th, we have Annabelle Anders with Curves for the Beastly Duke. May 12th, we have Robyn for the Betrothed Duke. May 19th, Kathleen Ayers with Curves for the Scandalous Duke. And May 25th, Secret Duke. I guess before we jump into each of those books, why did you join the BBC, the Busty Bodice Club?
I thought it was the BBC, the real BBC.
We just reeled you in.
My mistake.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
You always wanted to meet Piers Morgan.
I think I roped Kathleen into that one. So
Yeah.
everywhere I go, she seems to follow, or
Yes.
I follow her. We are connected on many sets.
That's awesome.
So many sets.
And that's the way that I got into it, was because of Cathy. Cathy was the one that said, hey. And so it was such a great idea. I wanted to jump in on it. So,
well, it sounded fun. It sounded like a fun collaboration and a way to kind of do something different. Because, I think it's hard to not get jaded in commercial fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, we bring out our books, but after a while, if I'm not careful, then I find I'm treading the same ground over and over. And I hate that. I hate that as a reader. I hate it as a writer. So this was a great opportunity to try something new. And I like Eliana. So there you have it. And hopefully Janna's going to still be talking to me when I'm done. I've gotten to know Tracy better. Kathleen, I didn't know Kathleen that well. This has been a great experience.
Awesome.
And I think we're bringing something new to the readers, to the loyal historical readers that are out there. Yes, there have been a lot of collaborations and that have preceded us, but there's something kind of unique about this one because of all the curves that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's a great name. The Busty Bodice.
It is.
It's a great name. So, and then that made it more fun for me anyway, was trying to figure all that out, how we were going to do Busty Bodices. So,
yeah.
Well, and Eliana and I have been talking about doing a set for a while. So this came up and just how to make it happen. And also, I think, Cathy, sort of what you were saying, I think publishing is changing so fast, and we are, trying to figure out how to reach readers, and joining forces is kind of a really nice way to do it. I think it's the future of publishing if we're going to stay with it. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I've been traditionally published for so long. And so people have said, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just exploring a whole new way of thinking about my writing, because it's a whole different set of deadlines. It's, this idea of collaborating with other writers. It's fun. It's just been fun. I feel a little like a pirate. And I don't know why, but I do. Arr. Yeah.
Maybe that's the next.
I'm taking up with donations to get Cathy an eye patch. And a parrot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely different when you control, because we kind of have moved from, I'm old enough to have started in the traditional space when there was nothing. There weren't, ebooks were not a thing. And so where we've evolved, and now we're publishers. That's the thing. It's gone beyond being a writer and handing it in. It's a publishing. I just read that recently, and I thought, that's true, because we're making the marketing decisions, the covers. So it's a very involved process, and it's kind of nice to be involved with other writers while you're doing it, instead of where you're putting it out and you're alone and you're like, okay, here's my release date and here's what I'm doing. But collaborating is kind of that does make it a lot more fun, but it's also, there's a fellowship to that, I think.
Oh, I love the idea of a fellowship. I think that's very, very true, because I can sit down and toss out an idea and everybody goes, oh yeah, try it. And in the past I toss out an idea and they're like, I don't know if that's going to test very well. So this is a whole different thing. The only limits to our imagination are the ones we set on ourselves. And that's going to be a bounty for readers.
Yeah. And when you get together in a group like this, your creativity, it sort of like triggers other people's creativity. So it just grows. It snowballs.
Yes. It's the Wild West. And like I tell my son, who's in college and so young, and I said, it's Robyn Williams from Good Will Hunting, but we're bound by nothing. You're really bound by some, but you're bound by, it's the world now, publishing, it's a lot of the gatekeepers are not there, so we're bound by nothing.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons to join this collaboration. I was talking with Tracy about this really early on and trying to come up with a theme that would be fun and would be kind of hitting readers in a new way. So that sounds like what what everybody's talked about. And yeah, that just makes this really enjoyable to be part of. We had fun coming up with the name, the logo, and then the titles for the books. So they all follow this pattern of like curves for the, and then we picked some characteristic for the Duke that we wanted to write about. So I'll start. My book was the first in the series. Some of the tropes for mine were that there's obviously a grumpy sunshine trope because it's the grumpy Duke. He's a hot Duke that she's kind of been pining for from afar. And she's an artist. And there's sisters of this series. There's 8 sisters that get a task given to them by their father who just passed away. And they get this task that challenges them to do something that's beyond their comfort zone. And as sisters, they kind of band together to encourage each other and inspire each other to do their task. Now, whether or not they complete it, we don't know. You have to read the book, right? So there you might be in for some surprises. I certainly am going to be surprised by some of them. My book was a scandal involved, and of course, the curvy female main character. Honoria is her name, and she is tasked with painting a portrait of this Duke that she's been pining for. And not to give away too much, but she goes in there thinking, I'm the first daughter. I have to complete this. I have to inspire my sisters because I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines and feeling like I'm sort of invisible or that I'm not reaching my full potential. So what does she do? She goes in there demanding that the Duke repay a favor. Obviously, he says no because he's the grump. He doesn't want to do that. So her next course of action is to tie him up and force him to allow her to paint him. So I won't say more than that, but from there, she has some interesting run-ins with him.
Well, we always love a story with rope.
Yes.
Forced proximity,
Can't go wrong.
emphasis on the force.
Yeah.
What is it? Tie me up, tie me down.
Yeah, there you go.
Some readers love the really powerful woman. You know, they love that like really feisty woman who's like not going to take no for an answer. And then some readers kind of think, well, that doesn't fit with Regency times. She would be more passive. What do you guys think about that?
I disagree. I just think that the loudest voices may not have been recognized because it wasn't the polite thing to do back then, right?
Or they weren't writing history.
Yeah,
They weren't the ones writing the books.
exactly. So, you know, I just believe that there's always been intelligent, feisty, forthright, brazen, if you will, women who set out on a course and they found a way. I mean, they had to work within their time frame, but they find a way to get things done. So I like that about all of our characters actually in this series.
But I think that's true of romances, because romance, it's her story. The female is the protagonist, the strong protagonist. Sometimes we let the men be strong protagonists, but for the most part, the person who's going to change is going to be the female character. And in the romance, she gets to fully be herself. To me, that's what romance is about. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a backbone of the genre, actually, that the independent, and I mean, there can be a character and she's shyer or she's more rebellious, but I think an independent, strong woman is part of the genre.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On that note, should we go to Cathy's book, number 2?
oh, my book. Okay, mine is Curves for the Rakish Duke, and I was so happy that the rake was left open. No one had taken the rake, so I was really happy to grab that. But mine is a Beauty meets the Dragon type of story, or the rake meets his match or anything. But Celeste is a twin, as we've said. Tracy is writing the story of her other twin. And Celeste is one of those people with a good heart, but she's been happy with her gardens and with her dogs and her, her books and the kind of a simple life. And her father's challenge is to start a charity, recognizing her good heart and her good common sense. And so she has to figure out a way to do this in a time where every person she goes to talk to about doing it has kind of turned up their nose and laughed at her and said, well, why don't you do good works at the church or whatever? And she's got a really big charity in mind. She's thinking big. And so she corners the Duke of Salcombe, Oliver Grenier, and he's known as the Dragon of London. But he's got his own little cross to bear right now because no one takes the rake seriously. I mean, they're just out there. They're good for a good time. They're good to drinking. It's great to be the wingman of a rake. You never know what might fall into your lap. But he wants to do something more. And so he finds himself with this very independent-minded woman. And she's got this huge idea. And he finds out that his life's going to change in all the right ways. So I'm very excited. I call it a wallflower turns warrior book. So
Okay.
Love that.
I'm very excited.
I love that you call him the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The dragon. Yeah.
I'm thinking wingdings.
Love it.
I think reading the rake is one of my favorite, like the reformed rake is one of my favorite tropes.
Supposedly a reformed rake makes a great husband.
That's what they say.
That's what we say.
Yeah. My husband was a reformed rake and
They
was
don't
fabulous,
stray.
so they have it. Well, and they know what they're doing. They don't stray. They know what they got their beans out. They're happy.
They've sowed their wild oats.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay. Shall we go to
My twin.
Yes, Georgie. I do not have a ton to tell you guys at this point, because it's still sort of, I run very close to deadline, so not to make anybody, nervous. It's just my way. But Georgie is, Kathy and I have talked a lot about the twins. And she is rebellious and strong and kind of probably a little typical for the heroine I write. And she knows what she wants and she wants him. That's what I have in my mind right now. There's age gap, as in the title, Curse of the Age Gap Duke, or the Silver Fox Duke, and age gap. And I also see not an enemies to lovers, but maybe a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a best friend's little sister kind of pinch of enemies to lovers, I think. So
Yeah.
I see
Who wants
witty
to be a
banter.
little sister? Yeah.
Yes, and also, I mean, she's protective of family. She's protective of her twin and Cece, and I think the family element is a big piece of these books, so that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
But I see maybe even a little grumpy Sunshine, although I don't know that she's totally a sunshine, but maybe compared to him.
Yeah.
subjective,
Yeah.
relative, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of like the tormented grump hero. That's sort of
Yeah. That guy you want to save. You want to save him.
Nice. So Cece and Georgie, those are the nicknames, right? For Celeste and Georgie. Okay, I love that. There is something about the sisters working together and just having that sisterhood. Obviously, this is a family, so they're bound by blood, but it is nice to read about women like helping each other, being their support for each other. Okay, our next is actually by Annabelle Anders, and we can all kind of jump in and talk about this. I'll just introduce it. So Annabelle Anders' book is Curves for the Beastly Duke. So you can imagine, obviously, we've got like the Beauty and the Beast kind of thing going here. A couple of other things here is like the scarred sexy, Duke in dirty boots. That was from Annabelle herself. Hidden identity, and then kissing of freckles, and a quest. So there's a lot of intrigue here when I read those tropes that she's listed. The task that her FMC has is that she has to publish something on her own, under her own name before the year ends. So what do you think of this task? Is this a challenge that would be easy for her to do, or something that's completely beyond that time?
The time of Jane Austen and Maria Edgeworth. Oh no, she can do this. She can do it. Yes.
How hard would this be for her to do? Or is it more her own, like, internal?
I think it was probably harder for me to get published the first time than it will be for her. So, it's always hard to get published. It always is. I mean, yes.
Yeah, it's always hard. But
Always.
What would be her biggest challenge? She's very what, sorry?
She's very motivated.
Yeah.
Right? Her quest. She's got to do it. She'll think of something.
That's something we haven't mentioned actually yet. What is her motivation for doing this? Did we say that? That they receive their inheritance if they accomplish their quest.
Right.
Yes.
They each have tasks. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
But it's also to honor their father.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's the last bequest from their father.
Mm-hmm.
And so
The final thing he
of course
asked.
they want to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And loving, and it's a loving quest, not, some of the books, like sometimes I often write the parents are not the greatest, but this was a bequest, like it was with love behind it, not where he died and he's like, oh, curse you, and gives you the task. So.
Yeah, he thought about each of his daughters.
Yes.
And then gave them something that they secretly wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
That's why I write romance.
We need more love in the world.
We do.
Yeah. Let's jump to the next book here. We've got Robyn DeHart, Curves for the Betrothed Duke. Now, there was a battle to get this one. A lot of people wanted to write the marriage of convenience trope. So Robyn DeHart got it. There's a Traveler FMC. There's Curvy FMC, which is part of the series The Sisters. And her task was that she has to travel abroad, but only as a married woman. So this is an interesting one.
Yeah. If she wants to travel, if she wants her inheritance, she has to get married to someone.
Yeah. So why do you think
Robyn did really want this one? So she loves that trope.
Yeah. It's a good one. I mean, Marriage of Convenience is a good one.
We all love it.
What's the best part of it?
A Marriage of Convenience?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that push-pull.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time he's sweet to her. The first time he brings her something. That's it. That's it. You know that's hook, line, and sinker then for all of us, right?
Right.
Yeah, kind of the reckoning, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Plus, there's always a lot of witty banter in A Marriage of Convenience.
And maybe even forced proximity too.
Yeah.
I hope so, Tracy.
Yeah.
I hope
that always kind of goes lockstep with somehow. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Let's go to Kathleen Ayers. You've got book number 6. You want to tell us about Curves?
Oh, I do?
Yes, you do.
So,
surprise.
For some reason, and this is, I don't know why this always, I write a lot of just libertines, right? Like they're kind of depraved and they do all sorts of stuff they shouldn't do and they're horribly wicked. And then they find that one woman where they're willing to give up everything, all of that for her. And so, and And that's sort of the case here. My heroine, Josephine, she she likes to think of herself as an athlete, like that she's very athletic. She does archery, she horseback rides. She tries to be like the strong sort of warrior. And the fact of the matter is that she's not very graceful, and she trips a lot, and she's not really an athlete, but she thinks she is. And one of the reasons, at least in my head, her father gave her this assignment, which is to retrieve a family heirloom. So she has to figure out, so she does all kinds of stuff. She likes to pretend she's a spy. She practices her techniques on eavesdropping. Like, she wants to be like this warrior, right? She wants to be like a spy or a soldier or something, which is very different from what any woman back then may have wanted. But so she takes on this task of retrieving a family heirloom. The only problem is that the heirloom is in the hands of lustful Lavisham, who is a duke known for his absolute depravities, all of his courtesans, all of his mistresses, and what's going to happen. Me, like Tracy, I work very close to the edge, so to speak. But she's going to try to retrieve it. He mistakes her for someone else. There's a very good scene where she's trying to climb over the wall, and she falls, and she's afraid she's going to pierce her large bosom. And she just, she just has so much trouble, but she's really trying. And the strange thing is that the Duke has also noticed her, because he's a very big man, right? He's big, he's broad. He's always afraid of the other women that are so petite that he's afraid he's going to snap them. But she appeals to him because she's strong and she's tall and she's
unsnappable.
Yeah.
And she's unsnappable. So he's like, So anyway, but their story is going to evolve from there. But so far, they're both a lot of fun to write. So yes.
I love the unsnappable comment.
Yeah, he doesn't think she's snappable. He doesn't think she's snappable. So he's liking that about her. But he's also, he's a walking scandal.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a challenge. And the other challenge is, what sort of family heirloom? Why would he have it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all will be revealed.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, take us to our last book, Janna MacGregor. Can you tell us about Curves for the Secret Duke?
Yes. My characters are Penelope and Edward. And Penelope's quest, she's the youngest, is that she has to get married and live humbly for a year. Now, Penelope is a little spoiled because she's the youngest and she's got all these wonderful sisters, and she's never really been alone. And the idea that she has to live humbly is it's really a conundrum for her, because she can't figure out why her father, who she knows loved her, beyond all reason, would want to do this. And so she gets her best friend, Edward Thornton, whose father was the tutor to Penelope's brother, the Duke, the new Duke now, to come up with to go on a road trip with her, because she's come up with this plan. She always kind of skirts the issue, or she tries to skirt the issue, because she just cannot imagine why he would want her to marry right then and there, because even though she wants to marry, she had never really picked out anybody. And, to be quite honest, because she was a large woman, the one guy that was interested in her was really only interested in her inheritance and not really in her. And that's the opening scene, is that he's asking her to marry him. And so she says no, but she comes up with this idea. So there's a pretend marriage. And of course, she gets her best friend, Edward, to go with her. And she actually ends up at her finishing school as a teacher. And a man follows them. And, Edward's convinced that she's going to be kidnapped. So he's always trying to protect her and chase this guy. And I don't really want to say any more because that would give away the ending of the story. But we can just imagine what's going to happen if there's a secret Duke in there, right? But anyway, it's really fun because Penelope's fear is being alone, and Edward just doesn't believe that he's good enough for her because he's obviously the son of a tutor, and he has followed in his father's footsteps, and so there's no way that a Duke's daughter, he would ever be good enough for a Duke's daughter. And it's really interesting how they grow and they learn to come out of this. That Penelope realizes that, yes, indeed, she can be alone, but she doesn't have to be alone. And Edward finds out that he is good enough for her in more ways than one. So that's the story. And so, you know, some of the tropes are he falls first, but it's always been him, and, you know, best friends forever. She kind of considers herself a fashionista. So to balance out her big bust, she wears these outrageous hats that are about, you know, twice as big as her head, and they're always falling in her face and causing all sorts of problems. So it was a fun story. And the funny thing about it is, I have not finished the epilogue, and that's very common for me, that I don't finish the epilogue until I've had a chance to edit the story and go through. And right before I got on this call with you, lovely, lovely ladies, I figured it out, and I'm anxious to write it tomorrow. So it's all going to work out.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So.
Well, you're in great spot because Kathleen and I haven't written it yet, so we are still thinking.
I've gotten some of my
hats, so
it sounds like it's going to be wonderful, Tracy and Kathleen.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fabulous, you know. And we all, and this, you know, just having all of us
once
here.
I get into it, I'm into it. That's
Right.
it. I'm 100 where you start to think you're talking to someone and you're staring off into space and you're thinking about that book.
Yeah.
I will be there. That's it. Once that's why I don't do two at a time. I don't know how people do that. I know that's a process discussion, how they write two books. I am a one book complete immersion. You can tell I've not immersed myself yet, but God love them if you can do that, but I can't.
Well, I have a new trope for you, Janna.
That one sounds, I can see her with the big hats. That just really is cute.
I have a new trope for you, Janna. There's the trope is there's good and then there's good. So we're just going to figure out where good Edward is. We'll find out. Where's he fall?
Yeah.
Where's he fall on the good scale?
Mm-hmm. I also really
let me put it to you this way. He's got to find her brother, and he's not looking forward to it. So let's see how good he was, right?
Okay.
And Secret Duke's pretty cool. I love when I've done that a couple of times in books where they are nobility, but it's either most of the time they know it and they're hiding it, but because they don't want a part of it. But I love that kind of trope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also love the idea that, Janna, your character learns that she can be alone, but she learns how to also to love. I think that's a really powerful thing for women, to know that they can be on their own, they can stand on their own, but then to be open to love. That's like such a beautiful story.
Yeah, thank you.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to write, you know, and I've got a couple of scenes in there where she's teaching, and of course she knows nothing about teaching. She compares the Alps to sponge cake, and it's just, you know, just this goofy stuff, but it's fun stuff, and I think it shows their personalities, both of them, because of course he never leaves. You know, she's never out of his sight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
But going back to Tracy's comment, I mean, you know, that she just writes toward, you know, when she gets into a book, that's all she can write. I mean, it's really funny, I think, when you listen to all of us, our writing processes are so different, and that's all good, you know.
It's all very different.
No, that's part of the process discussion's fascinating. Like that's another time, but it's everyone's process is completely different, and plotting versus not, and I still do it a lot of the same way that I did it when I started in the Dark Ages. So that's kind of crazy. That's why I don't even like to, if you can tell, I don't like to talk about the books before I get into them a lot, because I'm not one of the, it's great, but you remember back in the day when we used to, with agent or editor, and you used to have kind of like your elevator pitch. I don't really like to talk a lot about it before I'm kind of into it, because it sort of waters it down for me. Because I figure out some, and I do plot some, but it's on the page.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, I know you guys have that too. Like, something happens that you never planned. That is a magic of writing.
Yeah.
And it has to change. It has to change.
Yeah.
It can't. Yes. It must change. Right.
Just, you figure out things. It's like therapy. You know, you're
It
writing them, and all of a sudden it's like something happens. That is just, to me, fascinating.
Yeah.
That's what's always hard to write for me anyway, to write the blurbs. Like before I really finished
Never do that.
the book. I know, right? Because I'll end up changing things.
Yeah.
And I can't do it too far ahead of time, right? Because I start out in my head with a template, and then I get to the middle and I change it. It just changes.
Yeah.
So
Some writers go with the blurb first.
I can't do it.
I could not. I think that's great. I
Yeah,
just was like, I just don't even. Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could. There's a lot of things I wish I did better.
Make life easier, maybe, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of like a blueprint for what you're going to do, but mine never works out the way it should. Never.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun, though, too.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just going to say. It's part of the fun of the story. And then we let Janna in our prequel deal with all of that. So we were like, here's our plan. And then after everyone wrote their chapter, that they were like, I didn't really write what we were going to write. And then
I do feel bad that you were left with that, Janna. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's all right. It's okay. I had fun with it. So
that brings us full circle. We've just got a minute left here. So I'll just end by reiterating the release series. We've got 7 books coming out about a week apart. And then right now, we have our, wrong way. We have Freebie, the prequel that we wrote that we were just talking about. This is the book that starts it all. So this is the story of the brother to the 8 sisters. So if you want to read this, we're doing it a chapter at a time right now through all of our newsletters. So if you are signed up to any one of our newsletters, you will be getting this story 1 week at a time. You can also sign up here. This does go to the newsletter, but it's specifically for this BBC, the Busty Bodice Club. And if you want to know more about any of the authors here that are part of this set, you can check out our websites here, elianapiers.com, cathymaxwell.com, tracysumner.com, annabelleanders.com, robyn.DeHart.com, kathleenayers.com, and janmacgregor.com. So thank you for reading, and thank you, lovely authors, for being part of this set and for coming today to chat about the series. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Eliana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.